Hi, this is Ken Parker welcoming you to another episode of Common Ground, the policy roundtable where we bring together a panel with diverse views on issues of concern to Newton residents and try to hammer out some of our differences. For those of you who are new to our show, let me review the rules. First, I introduce a topic. Then we go around the table with each panelist expressing a viewpoint. I then select the two panelists who disagree the most strongly and ask them to speak directly to one another in hopes of finding some area of agreement. At the end of each segment, I give an assessment of how we did at finding common ground and put in my 2 cents on the topic. At least that's the way the show usually works. Tonight we have a special treat for you. As you know, usually we have 3 or 4 panelists, but we've had a lot of feedback from our guests and from the public. We've heard from people, and we want to accommodate what they want, and they've been demanding just one thing: more Greer Swiston. So, with all the calls and emails, and people literally knocking down the doors and coming in through the windows of the new TV studio, we had to give the Newton residents and the new TV viewing audience what they wanted. So tonight, a special treat. A full hour of Greer Tan Swiston. Greer, thanks so much for being on the show and for serving the public as you did for many years, of course, as a Newton City Councilor.
So I can tell my family to stop now?
Yeah, you can tell them enough calls already. What, are they trying to get you out of the house more? I don't know.
That must be it.
No. Greer, of course, was a member of the then Newton Board of Aldermen, now called the City Council. For how many years, Greer?
I was there for 6 years.
6 years, so three 2-year terms.
Yep.
And you were also you've been a mathematician, an engineer, a real estate professional for a number of years now.
Yep, and I've been teaching in our cultural center, so I teach Chinese. I'm actually now teaching in 3 of our elementary schools.
Wow, and you've also been involved in the Ligerbots program.
Oh yes, and I am all Ligerbots today because we are a part of the district championships that's going on at BU this weekend. And
so today being April 12th, so someone could, if they wanted to, if maybe the weather isn't so great this April. What's been with all this snow? I mean, it's like
I don't know. I mean, if we had we thought the April Fool's Day snow back in 1996.
But that was a huge storm. At least these weren't as bad. But so anyway, if the weather is not good this weekend, April 13th,
stay
14th,
inside. Go to the Aganis Arena.
And watch robots destroy each other.
No,
right? I'm just kidding.
no. But they'll have a lot of fun. They'll have a lot of fun.
So these are high school teams, a good combined team of
These
Newton
are
North and Newton South?
This is Ligers is the Lions and the Tigers combined. It's the largest cat on the planet.
The liger, right? Actually,
the
yeah.
liger.
In fact, at King Richard's Fair one year, they had one. Now
they
don't. They can't reproduce. They're like a mule, basically.
Right. It's like a mule. It's got to be like man bred, right? Because they don't naturally.
I don't know. I mean, if you put them together, you never know, right?
Right, but the thing is they don't naturally occur in like even the same part of the world, right? So you have to manually put them together.
Manually, I can just picture someone like, little kitty. You go right now. I think it's probably safer to do that from a distance. Maybe that's where you use your robot. Send your robot in now.
There you go.
Yeah,
there
robot. Introduce. Here's tiger. Here's lion.
There
Do they like need poetry? What do you need to do for a lion and tiger
to
get them interested? A nice
That's
Chardonnay.
What you're supposed to do. This is what you're supposed to do with robots, right? The 3 Ds: dull, dangerous, and dirty. And that
really? So
those are the 3 Ds of robotics.
I thought they were just cool, but I was just a nerd in high school. I thought robots, they're awesome. No, so dull, dangerous, and dirty.
That's what you use robots for.
What about so like cleaning the floor? How just
Cleaning
cool to watch the little Roomba run around. I just think that's just fun to watch.
Oh well, now
it's entertainment.
Now you've got like possessed Roombas too. So
possessed?
No. I now hear stories of people who because there's a setting on the robot where it actually remembers kind of like a schedule or whatever. And the thing is it has somebody's joke has it programmed so that it goes off at midnight. So if you don't realize that you set it to, if you haven't set it with your own schedule, it has its own schedule that it goes by, and so sometimes it's like
in the middle of the night you hear the. Well, of course, I was a pretty early adopter of the Roomba because I'm not a big fan of the whole vacuuming, and I like to watch the thing go around. But so I had one way back when, before anyone else had heard of one of them. But what I didn't know, what I liked is that they could do their own recharging and go back to their recharge station. And what I didn't know when I bought it was that you basically still had to do cleaning. Instead of cleaning the floor, you have to clean the Roomba. For you have to take all the dirt tray out of the Roomba. Then you've got those rollers, and you get all the little hair and the dirt. So I spent more time cleaning the Roomba, literally, than it would have been to vacuum the floor. But it was still cool, and I could geek out over it. So in terms of robots, tell us about the Liger bots.
Well, the Liger bots this year, they're competing in Power Up. And they'll be, basically they are tasked with moving these little yellow cubes.
So when you say Power Up, you mean like a 1980s video game Power Up, like
Pac-Man?
Pac-Man?
Yes. Oh, actually, it's, even our theme song is like this little Pac-Man going.
So for people who are younger, Pac-Man was a very popular video game in the 1980s, and you would eat these dots. But then there were these 4 colored ghosts that would come and eat you. But if you got to one of these special power-ups in the corner, you got power, and then you could chase the ghosts and eat them until then they'd blink when they're about to turn back, and then they could eat you again.
Yeah, I think
very, very sophisticated. This is why we're all so smart from our generation.
Oh, clearly,
because we ate power-ups.
Between that and I think right now our theme is kind of like, Power Up, a combination
of
Pac-Man.
So how do the robots power up? Are they actually consuming objects on the floor?
So they're not. I mean, most of our games are have some kind of intake, some kind of delivery system, maybe some kind of lift system. Sometimes this year we also have some kind of pull system. So that
what's the objective though? What do people? I mean, I was joking before. Of course, they're not really destroying each other like on Robot Wars, like they used to have on Basic Cable.
Right.
But they have these competitions where teams of students build a robot. And then the robot has to be programmed to do certain things.
Exactly, and you team up. It's all about alliances. You have 3 robots on each
side. But what are the objectives for this competition?
This particular one, you are trying to own a switch or a scale. These are these little teeter-totter things. A switch is a teeter-totter down on the floor level, and a scale is a teeter-totter that's up at 6 feet high.
So basically, one robot has to be able to address both of these challenges?
No, you team up with 2 other
robots.
robots.
What I'm saying is, they have to be generalized.
They need to be generalized. So the thing is you're going to be teaming up with 2 other robots. So the question is going to be whether what are the skills that you can do, and you do research up with the other robots, other teams to figure out what you can work together.
If people want to learn about this, see videos of it, find out how to go watch it in person, they can go to a website
called www.ligerbots.org.
Okay, wait a second. Do you really need the W's? Because I hear you can just drop those W's.
Yeah, I guess now you can just drop those
W's. Just kidding. So that's Liger, LIGERBOTS.org.
Yep,
okay, well that sounds very exciting. If I have time this weekend, I'll head down to Agganis Arena at Boston University.
Yeah, there
very
you go.
Cool stuff. All right, so so much to talk about, but why don't we start with, let's talk, before we get to the items in the news, let's talk about the news itself. Newton, when I was growing up, had 2 fantastic local newspapers.
Exactly.
The Graphic and the Tab, plus there was an affiliate of the Graphic, which was a daily newspaper, which was mostly a Waltham paper called the News Tribune.
Oh.
But there was a Newton. There was a Newton edition of it. It always kind of had a lot of Waltham stories in it because they didn't really have enough Newton news to put out a daily Newton. But it was really popular on the north side of the city. People used to read it every day.
Yeah.
And other people hadn't heard of it. But the best stories from it ended up in the Graphic each week. But we had 2 competing local newspapers.
Yeah.
And then Community Newton newspaper, Hard Hanks Community Newspapers bought one, and they bought the Graphic and merged them in, and then there's been more and more consolidation of that industry. But recently, the Newton Tab, our sole remaining local newspaper, seems to have like fired all of its journalistic staff, as far as I can tell.
Right.
Maybe
we
they've
don't really
hired
have
some
reporters anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, so they're running these like non-Newton stories, and there's nobody covering municipal meetings. I mean, Andy Levin, who did a great job as editor, is no longer there. Like, they have apparently like no budget. And apparently they're just like a big stack of ads mostly. I mean,
Right.
there's still, one week they didn't even have any letters to the editor, and like that's like I mean, it's just.
I'll be honest, I probably haven't looked at a Newton tab in a long time. I get my news on Newton Patch at this point.
Newton Patch, yeah. Well, I mean, but they don't have that much of a staff either, really.
Well, not only that, they don't really, I don't feel like they're, I remember when the tab was around, you know, the reporters knew the people around town.
Yeah, well, they knew the people, and they also, I mean, there were some better reporters, some worse reporters. But they would cover meetings, and you know, now things can go on in local government and nobody knows about it. Like, for example, we had a show you were on when we were talking about the no-bid contracts.
Right.
Spending $500,000 on a no-bid contract.
Right, exactly.
I don't think that could happen if there was local news coverage.
Right, and calling for accountability.
Right. I think, you know, it's a sad, sad day when there is no local journalism. So we're not that we, as people showing up on a cable show now and then, can really fill that gap, but we are going to break a little bit of news today with a little bit of an inside scoop that we managed to track down, which is kind of interesting. But we'll get to that inside scoop later. First, let's talk about something that has been in the news. It was picked up locally, but has been state and even national news a little bit, I think, which is Mount Ida.
Right.
We used to, when I was a kid, it was Mount Ida Junior College, and then it became like college, or whatever. I went to summer camp there one year,
Oh,
you know, like
did you?
right on their campus. Lovely summer camp, maybe for a couple of years. I was a counselor there later. It's gone. UMass is buying it, and like everybody hates the Steeler for some reason.
Well, you know that they were trying to merge with LaSalle first.
Right. And that fell through for financial reasons?
I didn't really see what it was. It seemed at the table, and from what I saw from the report, it's like, you know, whatever you heard, it's not true, it's completely off, and it seemed like nobody wanted to explain why.
So we don't know why that fell through.
No.
Nobody knows? Somebody knows, some insider
I don't
knows.
really know, but
So here's my question, Greer. Is it good or bad for Newton that Mount Ida is being merged into the UMass system?
I don't know that it's a bad. I think it would be bad if they also removed the campus. If they decided that, say, okay, great, now we're going to take everything, we're going to sell off the property, and we're going to consolidate, you know, downtown. I would think that the reason they took over Mount Ida is because UMass Boston is really cramped right now. They need more space, and I would think that they would.
They're
come
talking
over.
about running some special programs there. I mean, I hear everybody complaining about this. Doesn't seem like such an awful thing to me. I mean, it's sad to see Mount Ida go, but of the people who could have bought it, at least it's not some developer who wants to put a Walmart there, right?
Exactly.
And I remember we used to have horseback riding at summer camp. It was like this beautiful.
As long as that they still have programs, it's one of those things. I suppose people are feeling that if it's a UMass, you know, it's kind of like the same argument as a corporate business versus a small mom and pop owned shop, because Mount Ida was a much more, they were a community college, but also that was it. They were a little bit more boutique, and they kind of had a tie with the community. And the question is UMass Boston's coming out of Boston?
That's a great point. So whatever goes there, whatever UMass puts there, they're talking about putting some programs. Hopefully they'll make some of the space available for the community, for community meetings, so hopefully there'll still be a summer camp there.
Hopefully they'll try to establish some kind of relationship with us.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely a terrific idea. And I think that's going to be, a lot of that'll be on the administration, on Mayor Fuller and others in her administration.
Well, it kind of goes to one of your other topics, right? Because the thing is you put down pilots, but that a lot of one of those things.
Silent services.
Yeah, the silots or whatever, it has to do with our hospitals and our universities that are in our city.
And having good relationships so they contribute, since they're not paying property taxes and they're using our services like police and fire.
Right.
Of course.
Providing a really great place for us to build our robots would be really nice.
Yeah, right. There we go. I knew we'd get back to Liger bots. All right. So verdict on Mount Ida is not in yet. I think it's a fair.
Right. But at least this one happened really. I think the other thing is this happened really fast, because they were
People were taken by surprise.
They were talking with LaSalle for a while, and it was kind of like, oh, negotiations, discussion. All of a sudden, the next thing you heard, boom, it's been bought. Well,
the thing that worries me most is loss of open space. And I'll tell you one thing I know nothing about. I mean, there's many things I know nothing about Greer, but ask my family. But one thing I totally know nothing about is this. Apparently, there's some proposal to develop the woods next to Mount Ida, which aren't part of the Mount Ida property.
Carlson Woods?
Yeah. So, and it's like 21 acres. How do I know this? Because I've seen the little lawn signs that says "Save Carlson Woods."
Right.
And so again, if we had a local newspaper, we might know more. So here's my pledge.
Okay.
I'm going to find out about this, and I'm going to get somebody to this table, hopefully
talk
on the
about
next
it.
show, to tell us what the heck's going on.
I'd say call the name on whoever has the sign on trying
I don't
to
even
sell
know
the
if
place.
there's like a website or a phone number on this side. But I could just ring a doorbell, I suppose.
Right, there
but
you
I
go.
think I'm going to ask. I put a call in today to George Mansfield to find out he was busy.
Oh, yeah, he would
George
know.
is like involved in the Newton Conservators. He knows all this open space stuff. We're going to have George. My pledge is to have George or someone else on who will tell us what the heck is going on with this,
this.
and what you can do if you want to save open space in Newton.
Yeah.
To tell your city councilor and mayor what you'd like to see. So, okay, we could just check it. You know what we just checked off? We've checked off Mount Ida. I don't know if we checked off pilots. Almost, maybe.
You have more to say on that, I'm sure.
And Carlson Woods. Okay, I admit to total lack of knowledge on that. But we're going to cure that. We're going to find someone.
There
okay.
you go.
Here's another thing. Here's another thing that would have been covered more if there were a local newspaper. Again, a theme here.
Yeah.
Parking meters.
Oh.
There is a proposal that apparently got voted out of committee at a committee meeting. I assume there was no reporter at.
Right. I didn't even hear that it was for committee. The first time we heard about it was when it got brought up at council.
The Chamber of Commerce sent around like an email. I'm a member of the Chamber of Commerce. I get an email from the head of the chamber, Greg Reedman, who's been a panelist here, and Greg's like, call your city councilor to tell them to vote no on the on this parking proposal because it would be terrible for Newton's village centers and business. And Greg and I certainly don't agree on everything, but the way I read this, I mean, my first call, I called a few members of the city council. I'm like, is Greg right about this? Is this what it sounds like?
Explain. You haven't yet
I
explained what it is.
I've given no introduction to it, other than the names of people. So here's the proposal as I understand it, and Greer, I'm sure you know about it as well. It basically it was a proposal I think that originated with the Newton Planning Department, the intent of which was to increase turnover at parking meters in the city. But rather than use the kind of proposal that Boston and other municipalities have, where you can't be continuously on the same block and just moving your car like a meter or two down, you're still expanding past the time limit. You're still in violation of the time limit if you just move. But you can go somewhere else and come back later. What they proposed in Newton was once per day you get to park in any given village center. So in the morning I went to Newton Center for lunch at Johnny's Luncheonette, right?
Now you can't go there.
I can't go over there for dinner, or I
Right.
can't go back to get an ice cream later. I'm banned from Newton Center for the rest of the day.
It kind of boggles the mind. All I can think of is that there had to have been like something that kind of got them to this conclusion, like some just mixed up bunch of desires that kind of like designed this. I mean, it just doesn't sound right, but.
So my experience with this is I got this email, I called around to a few counselors, and then I got a call back from one of them who said, yeah, we're going to send this back to committee. And of course, I assume that's because a lot of people called and said, what the heck is going on? And that's only because the Chamber of Commerce got wind of this, presumably.
And I would have to say, I mean, did you listen to the audio of the committee discussion? I don't even think they really discussed it.
No, but I heard it was really short. I mean,
so they didn't really discuss it.
I mean, I think the planning department came in, and I do plan on, if I ever have time, listening to that, or at least getting, but finding out why they thought this was a good idea. But, it'll be interesting when they send it back to committee. Now everyone's paying attention. They'll have to justify what they end up doing. But it passed like 6-2 in committee, I think it was.
I think I to a certain extent, I do see that what they're trying to do is they're trying to show respect and having some faith in the planning committee, and
the
saying
planning department, the staff.
And staff.
So you think the elected councilors were like, well, the staff wants this. let's do.
It's not that they want this. It's saying, look, we hired degreed and educated people to do this.
We're
They
paying
know
them money, so they must
and
know.
they know planning better than we do.
Yeah, I've got to say, they're wonderful people working for the city in the planning department, many other departments. I don't think they're as in touch necessarily as the elected officials in terms of what the people in the city actually want. So, I mean, democracy actually works, at least on a local level. And so that's why I think assuming people know what their local elected officials are up to.
Right,
and, that's why the press is so important.
Right.
For informing them. And there are also some city councilors that have terrific newsletters. And they do get,
I really like the fact that we now have more councilors. It used to be only like one that used to send something around. Now we've got like 2 or 3 of them that send something around.
I did my first newsletter before there was email. That's how long ago I was first.
Oh, you were so forward-thinking, Ken.
No, I actually had something I called Aldermanic Update, which was a 2-sided 8.5 by 11 thing that I'd put out. I'd print a stack of them. I'd give them out to people. I think I had a mailing list. But it's so much with an email. It's so much easier to do a newsletter. It's so much easier
and make it nice and pretty.
Yeah, I know. Amy Sangiello for years did a great job of that.
Yeah.
Emily Norton has a fantastic substantive one, and I know others. I've seen Chris Markowitz has got one.
Jake Auchincloss.
Jake's got one. Yeah. No, I mean, I would suggest that anybody who lives in the city of Newton should sign up to should email all 24 councilors and say, do you have a newsletter?
Right.
If you do, please sign me up.
You want to know, it would be really time consuming though, because then you compare it with the city update that we get all the time too. I mean, because I do that.
Yeah.
What did the city tell me about, and what did
so the technology's better, but apparently no one's willing to pay reporters. I don't understand. It's not like the tab's not getting advertising revenue. You can see there's a theme to my kvetching tonight. Okay.
Yes.
But speaking of kvetching, sometimes well-intentioned, smart people come up with really bad ideas. It sounds like that's what happened with this parking meter thing. Stay tuned. We'll update more. I think we have to provide more of a news role on this show to the extent that there is less of a local
raise
press.
The awareness that something crazy is going on.
Yeah, and so I will do my best to try to follow up on these various things, which is great why we have time to get through a bunch of different topics today. So I'm checking off parking meters.
Yeah.
Next, here's one that you're in the real estate business. This is kind of a medical issue. It's a zoning issue. It's a societal and cultural issue, and it's a democracy issue in a lot of people's minds. All rolled into one, which is marijuana dispensaries.
Right.
So here's what I know. I know a little bit about this one.
I don't know. Is that good? No.
No, I know enough to lay it out there and hear what I've heard. But again, because there's really no local press, you don't know what's going on.
Right.
I know that we have one licensed medical marijuana facility in the city on Washington Street in Newtonville.
Right.
And apparently they are scheduled to convert over to being a recreational marijuana facility.
Now that they're allowed to.
I know that marijuana is still a federally controlled substance.
Right.
So these marijuana businesses are not able to have any kind of any kind of credit cards or banks or anything. So it's all a cash business. So there's a concern about crime associated with them.
Right, because when you have cash,
massive amounts of cash.
Yeah.
And so people are worried that that's and then there's also, of course, health concerns about children becoming users of these things, and of course that happens while it's illegal too.
Right.
So I guess but then I heard, they need to have it because based on the state law that passed, we need to have 8 of these in Newton.
We need to have 8?
There's automatically going to be approved 8, up to 8. The first 8 applications apparently that come in, and I've heard that the former Green Tea, which used to be Beijing Palace, which I think was Beijing 2 before it, back what used to be by
over
the
in
AP,
Four Corners.
No, it's on Route 9, in the plaza there.
Oh, I know where that is. Yeah. On Elliott Street.
It used to be Green Tea, which is kind of ironic to put a marijuana place because that's kind of a
green.
Green and tea. I think used to be slang for marijuana. I believe.
Really?
Yeah, I think I've heard.
I am so out of this.
Yeah. Anyway, so anyway, and also they're talking about putting one in the former South Pacific on Beacon Street in Four Corners. And I don't know about other locations. So here's my question, and this is kind of a dumb question, right?
Okay.
But I don't get this at all. So I'm kind of libertarian on letting consenting adults do whatever stupid things to themselves they want to do. I really, if people want to put chemicals in their bodies, whatever kind of chemicals,
Right.
you know, whether
Do it to
you know,
yourself.
Yeah, right, exactly. I'm like fine with that. I'm very, very much against people giving this kind of stuff to children or
Right.
advertising to
Right,
children.
right.
As my claim to fame on the Board of Aldermen many years ago was the Smoke-Free Newton Ordinance, and a lot of that was about prohibiting smoking in public places like City Hall and restaurants and whatnot, but also enforcing bans on sales of cigarettes to minors. For example, we used to have these displays right next to the candy. There were all kinds of there were vending machines kids could buy out of, because vending machines don't card. They weren't smart vending machines. They were just, you put a quarter or whatever, a bunch of quarters in, and get cigarettes. So we banned all that kind of stuff in Newton.
Right.
We required tobacco sales permits, so if they were selling to minors, they'd lose their permit, and it made a big difference. We enforced and cracked down, and kids stopped buying cigarettes. And
Well, cigarettes is something that, it's all fine and good if you want to enjoy yourself and you want to poison yourself. My problem with cigarettes is that when you're poisoning yourself, you're poisoning everybody else.
I feel the exact same way about marijuana. I think adults should be able to do this if they want.
As long as they keep it to themselves.
Right. I think in the privacy of your own home. I don't want to smell this crap. I don't want it in public places. I don't want my kids to see other people doing this, and I don't want it advertised to my kids. So what I don't get is, why is it wrong for, like, there seems like this is my dumb question. It seems like people think you have to be at one extreme or the other. Either you have to want it criminalized. I don't want people going to jail for doing this. I don't want to waste our judicial resources. I don't want organized crime to benefit from it. But on the other end of the spectrum, I should point out, I'm not sure, we have a new director today. No, we don't have a new, we have Will as our director. We have an hour show, Will, so I think he's worried that that we're wrapping up at 8. We've got another half hour to go, Will. Anyway, at the other end of the spectrum, you've got people who are, who say, so some people say ban it, terrible, and other people say, oh no, it should be like everywhere, and people are like literally upset. So that this former restaurant site, they think, oh, you're like totalitarian and undemocratic if you think that's a bad location for it. So my question is, whatever happened to zoning? Like, there are appropriate places for different types of businesses.
Right. Why aren't they using zoning to sort of...
Right. Why can't you say that this is adult entertainment? You don't put the adult entertainment, the naked dancing, in the middle of a residential neighborhood near an elementary school. You don't put the marijuana place there. Where does that go? That goes out by the highway somewhere,
So, but then that seems to me that that is not quite purely a local decision, because right now there is no requirement that marijuana be classified any different. If it's recreational, it's no different than any pharmaceutical or whatever.
Why can't we? No, but we can have adult entertainment districts, right? So why can't we just call this adult entertainment
I don't know that I would call it an adult entertainment, but I would classify it right where the same as liquor. I mean,
well, to me, see, that is the thing I find totally objectionable. I mean, first of all, alcohol, obviously, drunk driving is a huge issue. There are lots of things that are bad about.
It's also not allowed for anybody.
Right.
There's
a lot of bad things about alcohol. But I would compare it more to tobacco. If they wanted to put a tobacco shop in where the South Pacific would be, I'd be against that too. In other words,
Why is it different from?
To me, our culture, for better or for worse, almost every culture in the world has had alcohol for thousands of years, intertwined with it. It is part of our society. Whether you like it there or not, it's deeply ingrained in our society,
right.
And it's not something that we can exercise. It's not like you can just say, "Hey."
Well, I'm not against liquor stores, but I do think that you're talking about a substance that impedes your bodily functions.
Sure.
Should be considered by adult. It requires adult judgment.
Let me tell you here's how I feel it's different. My grandmother lives in Colorado Springs. Actually, going out to visit next week. 94 years old and going strong. But Colorado has had legal recreational marijuana for a while. If you go and look where the marijuana dispensaries are in Colorado, they are located in near the adult bookshops, or they don't really sell books, videos, or toys, or whatever. They're located not in the nice neighborhoods.
Right.
And to me, that's where.
And how did they manage to get that to happen?
Probably zoning, I'm guessing. And I don't think they belong in residential neighborhoods. I don't think they belong near schools. And frankly, I think they are. Here's the other thing. I don't think it should be advertised to minors. So I don't think there should be signs outside of the buildings, because that's an advertisement. What's the best advertisement? Why do banks want to be in Newton Center? Because they want to advertise to people who have money. Not that you need that many banks in Newton Center, right?
Right.
Because it's advertising. I don't think they should be able to have these big, get your wreck here, right where the kids are walking to school.
Right.
The other thing, that it doesn't. I understand legal doesn't mean you have to put it into products that appeal to children. Marijuana in candy, you know? This to me makes no sense that this could be legal. So I am very much opposed to putting this into residential neighborhoods. I don't think you need 8 of them in Newton. There's already one in Newtonville. I think that's probably enough in Newton. But if you are going to have them, let's be thoughtful. Let's require not to have signage that children are going to see.
So basically what you're
past.
saying is you're not against people having access to it. It's just you don't have to, it doesn't have to be promoted. You can have access to it.
Exactly. Adults will know they can find out where to get it, but we don't need to market it to children. And I mean, I'll give you
market it to anybody, really.
Yeah, no, I mean, So for example, when I was a kid, I don't know if you remember these, but we were children around the same time. There used to be these candy cigarettes that some kids had.
Oh, right.
And they would dip the ends in these red ashes types, make them look like they're glowing, like I don't know if it was cinnamon or some kind of.
Right.
And it was like horrifying to me. Like they're like playing with cigarettes. This was like, but. Now take that one step further and having actual nicotine in those. That's what candy with, chocolate bars with THC in them are. That can't, I don't understand how, we went from medical marijuana to recreational marijuana to drugs, candy with THC in it.
Yeah.
Can't we have like a happy medium in the middle where no one goes to jail, but we don't market this to children?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so let's
or not just market them, but make it too easy for somebody to mistakenly.
Yeah, no, exactly. You've got a candy bar on the counter. What kid's not going to take a bite of that chocolate bar, right?
Right.
And especially if you put adults only on it.
Right.
Woohoo! That's even more exciting.
Right.
I mean, if people want to take it orally, you could make a THC pill. I understand people have cancer; they need to. This is really helpful. That's wonderful.
You're going back to medical marijuana.
Yeah, but
now.
even so, or they want to use it recreational. Make a pill for them that looks like something that grandma takes pills, right? Make it not appeal to the kids. Chocolate bars, that appeals to little kids, very young kids.
Right.
So anyway, that's my feeling on it. Can't we have some middle ground? I mean, is that a crazy idea?
I'm not against that. Well, you know how much I imbibe in any of these things. I don't even drink alcohol.
Yeah,
so
no, I mean,
not that I have anything against any of it.
Right. No, I mean, again, I don't think it's comparable to alcohol. Alcohol is part of just about every major religion, and there are potential. Again. It's already in our culture. It's already you're not going to exercise.
I guess I put it in, right. I guess I put it in my mind. I just put it all into its advice. In my opinion, it just should be. You shouldn't make it easy to mistake in it. I mean, like for instance, I have nothing against alcohol, but I don't like it when you spike it in punch because the thing is.
I agree with that. So people don't know that they're drinking.
Right,
Exactly.
you think you're drinking punch, and there's actually stuff in it,
Right.
So the thing is,
and you don't even know how much.
And
either.
you don't even
I never
know.
drink that because, like, you think you're having one drink, someone makes it really strong, and you can't even tell because all the sugar overwhelms it.
Right.
So
exactly.
like, it's not like having a beer. Like, okay, I had a beer.
Right, and you had it.
Right.
So I would have to.
I totally agree with that. I hated that at college too.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like,
Well, it was no. I really just didn't drink things when I was at a party.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, totally.
That I didn't drink anything I didn't bring with my
Right.
myself.
You don't know what's that.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. So here's
So we agree on
here's
that
another
one.
local. Yeah, we're getting all kinds of common ground. Here's another local control issue.
Okay.
robot cars, automated vehicles.
Robot cars, self-driving
Robo-cars, self-driving cars.
Well,
whatever
you know,
we're
I
gonna
do
call them.
like robots.
I love robots. That's why I said that. Like, but would you trust a robot with your children's lives?
So I'm very torn about this, okay? Because I do think that there is a lot of value.
I should back up and give some context.
Okay,
there.
go ahead.
So there are, as we know, some companies, car companies, that are toying with varying, or they're researching and developing various types of self-driving
And they
technologies.
need someplace to test.
Yeah, and so like Arizona said, "Come on down, no regulation." And of course, a pedestrian was just hit by a self-driving car there, and so Tesla stopped testing them.
You're not going to.
Killed.
I know, but she walked across a highway in the dark, dressed in black. I think a human would have hit her too.
Not saying that. First of all, I'm not sure if that's entirely accurate, but the question okay. So maybe they're safer than people-driven
I'm thinking
cars.
an automated car, if you program to detect those things, probably had a better chance of avoiding her than a human would have.
Maybe, although we have instincts that are based on a little peripheral vision. And you might see some rustling in the bushes, and you never know. I don't know whether a human would have hit this pedestrian or not, but certainly, to me, the total lack of regulation in Arizona is foolhardy.
True.
You ought to
I
have
agree.
a structure. You ought to have a testing program. California has a more structured
I think that's
program.
lazy. There's no reason why you can't think this through. This is robots, so
And
if anything can be properly regulated, would be.
And you know, there used to be a joke that I mean, it might still be a joke, but this was years ago. I remember you may have heard this one. It's the argument between the Detroit car business guy and the Silicon Valley computer person. And the
I must have missed this one.
You know this joke?
No.
So anyway, the Silicon Valley guy goes, "Oh, you car industry people are you guys be embarrassed? 'Cause, you know, you've been making the same internal combustion engines for like 100 years. Your technology is hardly advanced. Or you got the carburetor, you've got very modest improvements. But look at computers. Every 7 years we like double the speed. We've got more, 10 times the memory. We've got faster processors, and if the computer industry were in charge of making cars, you'd have a car that got 150 miles to the gallon and could go 300 miles an hour and look really cool like the latest Macintosh.
Right.
And the Detroit guy rubs his chin for a minute and thinks about it and says, well, that all may be true, but who'd want to drive a car that crashes 3 times a day?
He must have been talking to Microsoft.
Anyway,
But-
the point being, software fails. It's like, and it can be hacked. And
That is what I. So the reason I say I'm like torn is there are things that you can program, right? Computers are very good.
I'm
at
a
doing
guy
the
who
same
built
thing.
robots in high school, but I wouldn't
Right.
trust them with my life.
Well, it depends on what. Because if you had a mainframe or a VM, you would. Our joke. I used to be a Unix developer, and that used to be the joke that we used to have because everybody was like, "Oh yeah, the PC is so cool and whatever." I'm here like, if you were on a respirator, would you want a
Windows system running it?
Yeah, would you want a Windows system running it, or would you want a a fault-tolerant Unix system running behind it?
Right.
Just saying, right? So because
Or would you want a human standing by to make sure it was working? I'd want that human there to make sure it was working.
you would like to have a human be able to do it, but like for instance, Tandem used to make a fault-tolerant. Basically, it had a fault tolerance that if it even failed once in a year, it was like that was
Yes, but if that once
intolerable.
kills you, that's bad.
I think humans fail a lot more times.
Well,
than that
that's
once
why
a
you
year.
have technology that assists the human. Like you have your beeps when you're leaving your lane, but you still have a human there who's you have the team of the
Right, but
computer
you
and the
usually have right, exactly.
I think the team is better than relying on the technology. Also, when the AI gets self-aware and decides to kill us all, you know, we.
You've been watching too many movies.
Oh no! I've been talking to Elon Musk too much.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you know, I mean, I agree because the other thing is
So anyway,
I'm not really happy with like.
I didn't even finish introducing this.
Oh, sorry.
Apparently, no, it's my fault. I think we got off. We got so excited.
We get
about
distracted.
This topic.
Yes.
So there is a proposal by I think Councilor Jake Auchincloss.
Auchincloss.
Auchincloss, I believe. I'm pretty sure it's Auchincloss.
Okay.
Although anyone who wants to send me an email at
How to pronounce it.
with a correct pronunciation guide. Jake, let's call him Jake. Councilor Jake.
There you go.
Very smart young guy. And he has a proposal about regulating self-driving cars in Newton, I think, or no?
Well, what it is that I believe what it is that Newton has accepted in being one of the test areas. I think there were like eight
Okay, who
cities.
decided that?
It sounded like the whole city council had already approved it.
Okay, so first of all, number one, dumb idea. Don't be the guinea pig for this. At least wait till the technology is mature before letting them on our streets with our children. And to me, that's just dumb.
All of them
okay,
have
so wait,
people
hang on.
on
I'm
it.
making a list of really dumb ideas. We got the parking meter one, dumb. We've got not having zoning apply to marijuana shops, dumb. When they apply to every, you can't put an office in a residential area. Why can you put, marijuana shop? Automated vehicles, guinea pig program in Newton, dumb. See, I think if we had a local newspaper, people would not be tolerating this stuff. All right, wait, we've got another dumb idea. You want to talk some more automated vehicles? Here, we'll finish this and then I think I've got tic-tac-toe in the dumb category.
Go for it. Go for your next dumb idea.
Okay, so this isn't really so much dumb as backwards. So the city of Newton figured out that we had reached the safe harbor level on affordable housing. 1.5% of our land area, of our developable land area, was affordable housing, and therefore we had local control, which doesn't mean we shouldn't do affordable housing. We still wanted to.
It just means that we don't get have it slapped down on us by 40B.
Right. So the state, we can still do 40Bs, but we don't have to do hostile 40Bs.
Right.
We can do friendly 40Bs. So in other words, we can approve affordable housing wherever we want, and we're into it. We're very progressive, but we don't have to. If we reject it, and we rarely do on a local level, but if it's a huge project and it have negative impacts where it's located, we were then able to say, no, this isn't the best project for this site, and we'd have some local control. And somehow, and this is the breaking news, the city of Newton has just decided that either we were wrong or we've regressed. Now, I like math, Greer, as you know, and you like math too. So what struck me is, first of all, the city. Let me just read. So this is a memo that here, I can hold it up to the camera here. Let's camera 4 maybe. Can we get a tight shot of this? Oh no, okay, not camera 4. Oh, there we are, tight shot. This is a memo, and you can't really read it from there, so I will read to you. It's to the city councilor. It's dated city council, dated January 31st. So it's not a secret, but again, no local press, no coverage of this.
But it is 3 months ago, 2 months ago.
Yeah, and no one, as far as I can tell, no one has even heard of this, because this is like huge news to me. This is from Jennifer Cara, somebody I don't know, chief planner, current planning, planning development, and Jonah Temple, assistant city solicitor. So somebody from the planning department, someone from the law department saying, and it's a 4-page memo and it goes into some detail, but here's what struck me most. Let me read you one line from it. So just to be clear, if we're at 1.5% or higher affordable housing based on land area, we're good, we have local control.
Right.
Below that, no local control.
Right.
Or limited local control.
Right.
Because that's the safe harbor threshold. So let me read the sentence. As of December 2017, the city has 105.6 acres of affordable housing, compared to 106.69 acres the last time this calculation was updated in 2016, a net loss of 1.1 acres. And here's the thing that gets me. In order to meet the 1.5% safe harbor, the city will need to have at least 107.7 acres of land dedicated to affordable housing. Okay? So, you think about this. We were at 106.69, which was at the 1.5%. But now, we not only have to get back to 106.69, we have to get to 107.7. It means the denominator went up. In other words, Newton got bigger somehow.
Right.
Since the last time they did.
Right.
How does the denominator change?
Right. How can
and
you
apparently, what they're counting changed. because it sounds like, and I don't know all the inside scoop on this, but it sounds like, I mean, somehow we got to 1.47. This is a little bit fishy to me, that it sounds like someone wanted us to fall below the threshold.
Right, and tried to play with
so,
numbers to get there.
And so, we're going to do a show on this. We're going to have some real investigation done into how we got here and what this all means, and whether I'm paranoid, whether Newton got more land that should count, or maybe the calculation was done wrong last time. I don't know.
Right.
But I want to find out what's really going on here.
Right.
And we're going to talk about it. I hope you'll come back and for that comment. We'll have a panel of people. We'll have a full panel that night.
We'll have a calculator.
Yeah, and right. And it won't be a self-driving calculator either. We'll have a human pushing the buttons on it. Because I like to work with humans, you know. We can do the all AI panel sometime.
There you go.
We'll just have like a laptop and a smartphone, and anyway.
Then you can really talk to yourself.
Right? No, I won't be here. You kidding me? I'll just leave. I'll leave an abacus in my spot.
There
so
you
this
go.
was cool, actually. Last night at the Mason Rice Talent Show,
Yep.
5th grade talent show, one of the kids, as their talent show act, did math problems on an abacus and had someone else with a calculator,
Right.
and did them faster than the person with the calculator.
They've done in Taiwan. They have that competition all the time.
That's so cool. I just love that this 5th grade kid, you know, did these huge math problems faster on an abacus than an audience member could do them with a calculator. No point to that. Total digression. But I'm
really happy to hear that. It's great that somebody's keeping it up.
Yeah.
My mom was very good on the abacus.
So anyway, I think there's more than one kind of abacus. This was a Japanese abacus apparently. So I don't know, but I mean
Well, the only difference is you see that there are some all abacuses have.
I believe that would be abaci, right? No, I don't know.
I don't know. I have no idea.
I'm just
You're
kidding.
probably right.
I have no idea.
The difference is whether you have 2 on the top or only 1. I've noticed that there are some. I believe the Japanese ones have like 5
2
on the
beads on the top or whatever.
only so you almost all of them have 5 on the bottom.
I
But
played
the
with
question
them, but I
is
still
whether
don't. I mean, I read an article. I still couldn't figure out how to use
it's
it.
base 10.
But you do these huge calculations so quick? I don't know.
Well, sometimes you get after a while you start memorizing certain numbers, and so you can just like glom it out.
So if
You can grab.
You're good with one of these then?
I am not good. I know how to use one, but I'm not good. My mom's
All right.
awesome.
Okay. So we got a bunch more topics. So let's roll through these. Single stream recycling. Okay. How do we feel about it? So the reason why I raise it is Newton has lousy recycling rates. And if everyone thought, oh, you're going to put it all in one bin, it's going to be so easy. Some reason we're still throwing out huge amounts of stuff. Why is that, and what can we do
Because
about it?
we're contaminating our recycling. The problem is that people mistaken single stream recycling with non-thinking recycling. Back in the day when we're actually putting and we're having to sort our recycling, you know, everybody knew that you
had colored glass, we had clear glass, we had plastic,
and you
we had
rinsed things
paper.
out before you threw them away, right? You sit there and you go, you had your cardboard, you had to cut them up and you put them down, and there was a certain amount of work to preparing your recycling.
To me, putting all the paper and cardboard in one thing is marvelous. Not having to cut it up, not have that, because time is money, and and just the effort, and I think people won't do that. But the thing that always seems wrong to me is you've got wet things in recycling. You've got, you can rinse off your glass bottles, which is a good idea, your plastic containers, and you put them in with like this thin paper, and it just turns to mush. That can't.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that necessarily is because I don't think mushy or wet paper is non-recyclable.
But it's lower quality. The mixed basically what happens is they can't use it to make a higher grade paper.
You're being really refined. I'm talking, we're worse. What we're having people throwing their coffee cups and going, oh, it's single stream recycling. Now your coffee has just ruined everything in that pot.
Oh yeah, so people will, my motto is when in doubt, throw it out. Don't put it in the recycling. In other words, your pizza box has some cheese on it, don't put it in recycling. Now, some people will cut off the top of the pizza box and put that in recycling, put the bottom that's all stained with pizza grease in the in the garbage. That I guess that's fine.
More power to you.
But don't just throw random things in thinking they might be recyclable, because if they're not, the whole
You've just
batch
ruined
is,
the whole thing.
Yeah. So I think it
People
might.
who don't separate their caps from their bottles, because the single recycling thing has difficulty in sorting that kind of plastic.
Wait, caps from bottles? I don't know about this, Greer. What are you saying here? You can't.
Well, I've always been told that you should unscrew your cap because your cap is a different type of plastic than your bottle is.
I haven't heard that. Of course, the cap's already off by the time I rinse it out and recycle. I throw
Right.
the cap in. You can do the
Right,
little
and
Michael Jordan or the Larry Bird, but you got to get
Well, I don't know if that's right or wrong, but I was told
Okay.
that you should always separate them. I even go so far as to get
So-
the little rimming
So
thing
I
off.
mean, I've also heard from people like you want to compact the things down to take up less room, and because that's But I heard all kinds of people have different styles. But to me, the important thing is put stuff in the recycling thing that is recyclable, not things that you wish were recyclable. That's not like if wishes were horses, right? We could recycle horses. No, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how that works. But no, I mean.
Well, if you eat them, then no, sorry.
No, okay, we probably offended enough people for
I'm
one
sorry.
minute. No, I'm sure I've really upset people with my thoughts on marijuana, probably on both ends of the spectrum. And now you've upset all the horse lovers out there, right? No, by saying no, we're not advocating eating horses or pets of any kind or anything that is non-traditional. No, just kidding. No. All right, so recycling, single stream, I agree with you, Greer. We've got a pollution of recycling problem, and I think maybe it is a lot of what goes on is people want to do the right thing. They want to recycle.
But they're not my problem with single stream recycling is that it actually discourages people from learning what they're supposed to do. And that's why you have so many uninformed people recycling. We thought that it was going to increase recycling.
But the overall rate is down if you look at Newton compared to other cities and towns.
And compared to the way we were recycling before, I just think that, we were trying to make it more convenient. We were thinking that we were making it more convenient and that would increase recycling. And I do think that, given that it's actually producing less recycling, that yes, it was less convenient before to recycle, but at least the people who did recycle were recycling the right things. So I actually think that recycling is something that requires
I'm not suggesting
thought.
that we go back to colored glass, clear glass, newspaper, office paper. It can get crazy where you have
I think that's a little bit too much. But if you take a look at Wellesley, and I know I brought that up, and I realized that they're a town. But the thing is, I think their recycling process is such an educational process because their whole recycling area is all very clearly labeled. There is everybody there knows what they're doing, and as you're recycling, neighbors are saying, "Oh, that goes there, that goes there." It's all really. They have pictures.
And it's a social thing in towns like that.
And it's a
That's your
social
Weston and Needham. Any town with a town dump, people get together on Saturday and hang out.
But it's also educational, and I just think that recycling does require thought.
We definitely need some fresh thinking on recycling, or maybe we could find some old ideas and reuse or recycle them. I don't know. Sorry, I could not help myself.
Yeah, I know you can't.
Not when it comes to puns, no.
No.
All right, let's see if we can hit a couple. We've been through 8 different times. We're on a roll here, but
there you go.
With limited
you said
time.
10, 2 more.
Okay, we can do it. Let's talk about municipal power choice. How about that as a topic?
Okay. Sure.
So this is something that I think is pretty cool. This is something that Emily Norton championed, and I know she's going to come on, and we'll talk about it some more on a future show. But basically, it's a way of buying cleaner energy through our current infrastructure. Greer, but you know more about it than I do, Greer. Tell.
I don't actually. But I thought I was actually really impressed to see this come in as an idea because I do think there was a talk that community energy, from the city actually is just good for all the residents, period, for the community to actually help out in this area. So I just brought it up because I thought it was really great. It's probably one of the first new ideas I've heard from the city in a while. Sorry, but I'm just
no, that was a zinger at the previous mayor. I don't know.
That's not what I meant at all.
I know. You've offended horse lovers and fans of the previous mayor. Okay,
I'm sorry, I'm on a roll.
No. And I've offended people who like and people who dislike marijuana. So
there we go.
Between the two of us,
we're good. We're getting everybody covered. Okay, one more then.
Okay,
let's offend one more person.
All right. Well, and related to municipal power, one thing that is sort of interesting, someone I got an email from a current city councilor the other day saying a constituent had asked about municipal Wi-Fi and why we don't have that in Newton, which is of course something that we had worked
Talked
at and
about.
almost got going like 15 years ago, and then the mayor prior to Mayor Warren and various there were some obstacles.
Yeah,
let's just say.
and we
We
actually
had the deal ready to go.
right,
basically.
exactly. We
It
had
wasn't
somebody
cost-
ready to do it. Yeah.
and it looked like a great deal, but we did not pull the trigger on it. So I just think it's great to see things
Come around.
resurface and
Recycling again.
Yes, right. And who knows? I mean, that it is a great democratic equalizer having that kind of service available to people.
Yep.
And let's just see. What do we want to do? Okay, should we spin the wheel? Remaining topics: budget, infrastructure, development and zoning, or performance management. What do you pick one, Greer? What do you want to talk about?
Development.
Development. How we doing, Greer, on development in the city? Are we building the things we should be building? How does Needham Street look to you? We've just gotten that new plaza there with the Cadoba in front and the Sierra Trading Post.
Right. I mean, I think that's piecemeal. I guess the one development that is a little bit more near and dear to my heart that I'm a little bit concerned about is that Washington corridor. I mean, it's getting scary about how much creep that they're really kind of like sucking up. And we're watching right now all of those buildings, one after another. I walk around there all the time, and you see it all fenced off, and one building after another is empty and being vacant for months because it's undergoing. And if it's anything like the development that we had, over by Border Street, it could be years before we see anything in there.
And I've got to say, my big concern is the ultimate impact. There doesn't seem like there's a plan for the impact on the budget and the infrastructure and the space in our schools. And we're going to build, apparently, like on one part of Needham Street, they want to build like 800 new housing units, and they want to build more housing units in Newtonville. And our schools are already bursting at the seams.
Right.
We don't have like land to build more schools on. Our streets are clogged, and we could talk another show about the condition of a lot of our sidewalks and streets.
Right.
And yet we're just building away without really, I think, looking at how we're going to be environmentally sustainable in terms of transit,
even though we have a
infrastructure.
comprehensive plan that they seem to be ignoring.
Well, the comprehensive plan, to me, frankly, is I liken it to the Bible. It's got both turn the other cheek and an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. You can justify any policy you want based on that document, literally. So anyway, we've just used an hour. We've
there you go. We did it.
But thank you at home for joining us, and thank you, Greer. You're wonderful. Thanks to our terrific crew, to Liz, to our director Will, and to John, who's doing audio tonight and joining us for the first time. Thank you so much, John. I hope you're back in the future. To everyone at home, please join us again next time. Our next live show will be May 10th, and what we'll look for on that show, just a little bit more common ground.
Hold. We're clear. We missed the first 90 seconds of the show for recording.
Oh.
So
There's like 3 backup systems in there, right? So there's
there was no empty drive.